Okay, we're holding on the third line from the bottom of 92b, Mayu Kimta. We're gonna have to go back over the Gemara just to explain what's going on. We thank Hashem that you're able to learn Torah every day. It's chus of our learning. We should have the base of Migdash immediately, and the learning Lili Nishmas have a gold of Baruch Binyamin and Sanos Ben Metzia, Moshe Refuah Shleima for Arben David Ben Sarah, and whoever else needs Refuah Shleima. Okay. What we learned in the Brisa, the Gemara started off with a question. When a laborer is able to eat while he's working, is that a bonus on his salary, which means that he has like a monetary right to it, or is that something that's coming from the rights that Hashem gives him to be able to eat while he's working? It's not a monetary thing. It's not his. So we had nafkamina would be if he's allowed to transfer it over to his wife and children to eat instead of him. If it's a monetary thing, if it's like a bonus that he has, so then he can transfer it. Anyway, we have a brisa that says like this, that a person can stipulate with his employer that instead of him eating, he wants a little bit of a higher salary. And he can do the same thing for his older children as well, his older slaves, but he can't do that for his own children, for his younger children, minors, or for his slaves that are minors, or definitely not for the animal. You can't say that you can muzzle the animal and you give me a little bit more money. He can't do that. He doesn't have the rights. Well, the Gemara understands from this that it must be Mishal Shemayim Oichel. That's why he doesn't have the right. It must be something that it's not something that he owns, that he can negotiate. So how does it work by the adults? Works by the adults because they're Michael. Okay. Problem is we had a contradiction because we have Rav Hoshea has a brisa that says almost everything is the same except for one slight difference. It says that slaves that are minors, he can, yes, make a stipulation. Oh, thank you. He can make a stipulation with them. Okay, so the Gemara understands that we're dealing with he's the one that's supporting them. In other words, they're working, he keeps the income, and he pays for their food. That's the idea over here. But the idea is that he keeps their income. If he has the rights to their income, then he can make this arrangement. He should be able to make this arrangement if they're going to eat or not. Eat while they're working. The Gemara said, and how would we understand this? We would say that the Brisa is talking about. The Brisa is according to the opinion that it's an arrangement as a bonus of his salary. That's how he's allowed to eat. In the Mishnah that says that he's not allowed to adjust to make this arrangement for the children because it's something that the Torah offers him, but it's an allowance that the Torah gives, but it's not a monetary arrangement. Gemara says no. Really, everyone holds that it is a monetary arrangement. So what's the difference in Mishnah and the Brisa? The difference is we're on the bottom of 92. The difference is if he's keeping their income. And the way the Gemara words this is that if he's supporting them. If he's supporting them, then he's keeping their income, and therefore he can make this arrangement. And if he's not supporting them, then he's not keeping their income, and he can't make that arrangement. That would be the difference in the Brisa. The Brisa that says he's allowed to make the arrangement is because he's supporting them, and therefore he keeps their income. And the Mishnah where he's not allowed to make the arrangement is because he's not supporting them. Okay. The Mayu Kimta, how did you establish the Brisa? You said that the Brisa is talking about B'ma'ala Mazainas. When he's supporting them, the father is supporting them, and here we're talking about not the father, we're talking about the master is supporting the slaves, even though they're youngsters. So therefore, he should be allowed to make this arrangement for them. So Zihachi, if that's the case, Tanim Nanmin Nakatzlo. Why, when it comes to his own children, is he not allowed to make up what he's doing. If he's supporting them, that means he keeps their income. Then if he keeps their income, why can't he keep their? Why can't he make the arrangement for the bonus? It says Tarayu de Benoyu Bitek Tanam Rachmana. Because there's a pain when they're seeing food and they're not able to eat it. So that pain, the father doesn't own. It's very interesting. The father owns their salary, but he doesn't have right to torment them. And for them to be working with food and not be able to eat it is like tormenting them. Mayu Kimta. So how did you establish the Masnis and how did you establish the Mishnah? The Shein Ma'alim B'Seinos. We're talking about where he doesn't, so he's not supplying them with food, and therefore he can't keep their income. They have their they keep their own income. Now we're assuming that it works hand in hand. That if he supports them, then he keeps the income. They support themselves, then they keep their income. I mean, if he doesn't support them, then they keep their income. That's the assumption. Gemara says, "Hani chalaman damar ein rav yachalay melevet asemi v'nezancha." That would only work if you follow the opinion that says that a master cannot tell a slave, "I want you to work for me. I'm going to keep the money, and I'm not going to support you either." If you were not allowed to say that, in other words, if you're keeping the income of the slave, that means you need to supply him with food. Then everything works out well. Shopper, then it's good. But according to that other opinion that holds, I want you to work for me, and I'm not supporting you either. I literally own everything of you, and I don't even have to feed you. So then, then how is this going to work out? Because what's the problem? Then even if he's not supporting them, he should still be allowed to make the arrangement to keep their bonus, which is that they should to make up with them that they're not allowed to eat. Make up with the owner. They're not that my slaves should not be allowed to eat by you, but I'll get extra money. You should be allowed to do that. Ella rather both are talking about, both the Mishnah and the Brisa are talking about when he's not supporting them. He's not supporting them. Therefore, that's why he's not allowed to. 1 second. The Brisa says that he is allowed to make this arrangement. So it says the machlekes goes like this. The Mar Savar Yachal, Mar Savar Eina Yachal. So the question is, if he's not giving them sustenance, if he's not supporting them, so then is he allowed to? Does he still keep their income? So that's going to be a machlekes between the Mishnah and the Brisa. If he keeps their income, then he can also make this arrangement that they're not allowed to eat. Rabbi Yochanan Damar Yachal Rav. What we have in back in Gittin or wherever else this was, we had a statement of Rabbi Yochanan where Rabbi Yochanan says that a master is able to keep their income and also not to support the slave. According to this, he is not following the Mishnah; he's following the Brisa because the Brisa said you are allowed to do this. Would Rabbi Yochanan leave a Mishnah and follow a Brisa? Ella de Kuli Alma. Rather, we're going to switch everything that we said. Mishal Shemayim Oechel. Really, the rights that a person has to eat is not part of the salary. It's not a bonus on the salary. It's a special allowance that the Torah gives him. And you're really not allowed to make up that you're going to forgo on that or for anyone. It says 1 second. My kaitis damar Rabbi but Rabbi says you are allowed to. It says mezainas. That's referring to that any food that they're going to eat. That's what we're talking about. But no one says that giving them food so that they don't end up eating while they're working. That's what it's referring to. The kavasei gabi hemtai, which so the Gemara asks, but if that's the case, then the same thing should apply. You see, Rabbi Shia said that you're allowed to do this. You're allowed to give them food beforehand so that they don't end up eating. That's at least according to the way the Gemara is understanding it now. But we said by an animal you weren't allowed to do it. But the Gemara asks, but if we're talking about giving food beforehand, then why can't you do this for the animal? You give him the straw, which we said you were allowed to open up a bale of straw, and the animal should eat a lot so that it doesn't eat while it's threshing. Rather, we're going to adjust it one more time. And we're going to say the Mar Savim Mishloya Oichel. The Bryce is talking about where it's considered a bonus on the salary. Mar Savim Mishal Shemayim Oichel, and the Mishnah is referring to where it's an allowance by heaven. Okay, that was the last Gemara, and just finishing off the strings, the loose strings from the. Okay. Right. So then the Gemara asked that, okay, so do the same thing to the animal, and Rabbi said you're not allowed to. So the answer that no, that's not the case. We're not talking about that. We're talking about actually eating the grapes, not stuffing the animal beforehand. So then why does the Bryce allow it? The Bryce says it's considered a Rabbi Shia. The Rabbi Shia is referring to. His opinion is that it's an allowance. It's a bonus on his salary, and that's why you're allowed to make that arrangement. The Mishnah that doesn't allow it, that's because he holds that it's from heaven. Yeah. For the animals? No, we're not. Now the animal for sure not. We're switching the case. We're not talking. That was an attempted answer. The case that you're discussing is an attempted answer that the Gemara had, but the Gemara rejects it. Okay. I'm on 93 at the Mishnah. Yeah. Okay. The discussion that we had before was actually quoting the following Mishnah. So it says, a person can establish an arrangement with the employer that he's not going to eat, but he wants an increase on his salary. He can make that same arrangement for his older children, and if his older children agree, then it's good. He can make the same arrangement with the slaves. They can also agree to that. He can do that for his wife, because we're gonna find out if they agree or if they don't agree. But you can't do this for your younger children, your daughter or your son that are minors, even if they agree. They don't have the rights to be Michael. And you can't do the same thing for your slaves. You can't also do this for your animal. You can't say muzzle my animal, and then I'll get extra rent for the animal. Because they're not able to be Michael. They can't forgive this right that they have. This is another Bryce. Here's a Mishnah that we had quoted before on the last page. Someone hires workers, and he hires them to work with his neteravai, the produce of the fourth year, which the halacha is produce of the fourth year has to be brought to Yerushalayim and eaten in Yerushalayim. They're not allowed to eat while they're working. Why? Because he's not allowed to eat it outside Yerushalayim. And if he doesn't let them know that it's going to be that they're working with neteravai, when they showed up to work, they thought they were going to be able to eat the whole day. So paider machilan, he has to redeem the neteravai and then allow them to eat. Nisparsu agulav niftachu nispatchu chaviyesov. If the fig cakes fell apart or the barrels reopened, and so which means that the worker thought he was going to be doing work with something that he would be allowed to eat from because it wasn't chayiv and meiser. But turns out that it really is chayiv and meiser because it was already pressed into fig cakes already, and it was already put into the barrel. But now they're not allowed to eat. And if they didn't know that, then meiser machilim, then the owner is obligated to take meiser and allow his workers to eat. Shemri Peiris. People that are watching fruits, they're allowed to eat, but not from the Torah. They're allowed to eat because that's the local custom, but not because the Torah allows it. So let's take a look at the Gemara. Which situation?
About the person that was guarding the produce. Most of the places that they're found, but that doesn't exclude the owner from
You would only be allowed to eat if Meiser was taken. It depends. We don't. So far, we don't have clear what we're talking about. We don't know that it's Chayiv and Meiser, right?
Well, once you say minhag hilkos Medina, isn't that saying up front this is a monetary issue?
Yeah. Yeah. You want this to go back and be an answer to the Gemara's question before? Is it a monetary issue or is it a?
Well, it just seems to me the Mishnah just settled the question.
Right. Right. I guess what the Mishnah means is that when the Torah allows it, is that considered a monetary issue? I mean, definitely you can have other times when it's a monetary issue. When the Torah allows it, is that a monetary issue or is that a special allowance from the Torah? I think. Okay. So it's like this. Shemri Paris. The watchers of fruit. I'm a Rav. We're gonna have Machlekes Rav and Shmuel here. I'm a Rav. Rav says that when the Mishnah says that they're allowed to eat because of a local custom, that's that's talking about when you're not guarding fruits, you're guarding a garden and orchards, which means that the fruit is still attached to the ground, and it's not ripe yet. So of course, according to the Torah, you're not allowed to eat. You're only allowed to eat when the fruit is ripe, and you're picking it. Here you're not picking it. Here you're just watching it because it's not ripe yet. But you are allowed to eat according to the local custom. But if you're watching, let's say, the wine press, which over here the grapes are already taken away, they're detached from the ground, or bundles of grain, you're watching that, then you're allowed to eat even according to the Torah, because that's already removed. Obviously, we're talking about before the time that it's Chayiv and Meiser, but you would be allowed to eat according to the Torah. So what Rav is telling me is we're talking about when it's attached to the ground. It's not much of a chiddush, the Mishnah. When it's attached to the ground, you're not allowed to eat according to the Torah, but there is a special allowance from the local custom. Ksavar, what is the opinion of Rav? Mishamer kaisa maisadami. The fact that he's watching is considered like working, and a worker is, yes, allowed to eat, which means that if he'd be watching something that's detached from the ground, for example, the wine press, then he would be allowed to eat, even according to the Torah. Shmuel says, is the opposite. Who is not allowed to eat according to the Torah? The one that's watching the Gita Sfarimis, the wine press and the bundles. But someone that's, who is not allowed to eat according to the Torah, but allowed to eat according to the local custom, that's the one that's watching the wine press and the bundles of grain. But someone that's watching the garden and the orchard, he's not allowed to eat, not from the Torah, not from the local custom. He's never allowed to eat. Now, how does Shmuel have such a strict view? Because he holds that guarding is not considered doing labor, and therefore you're not considered a laborer. You're not labor. You're not allowed to eat. Why they allow you to eat if it's the wine press? Oh, that's a local custom. Shmuel comes out much stricter. According to Shmuel, the reason why there's a local, what does the local custom do? The local custom turns a non-laborer into a laborer. That's the local custom. Even though you're not doing work, you're just watching, but we'll consider you a worker. According to Rav, the local custom turns something that's not ready to eat into something that's ready to eat. Right? We know that you're a laborer. You're already a laborer. Question is, at what stage you're allowed to eat? We're going to consider it that you're allowed to eat, even though normally in such a case you wouldn't be allowed to eat because it's not fully ripe. Vacha Baravuna says, that's a question. Someone that's guarding the paraduma, that means they shechted it and they're going to burn it, and he's guarding it. Matame begadim, his clothing becomes impure. Now we know the rule that anyone that does any of the parts of the procedure of the paraduma, his clothing becomes tummy. Well, this person that's watching it, his clothing becomes tummy. If you hold that guarding is not considered like doing an action, why is clothing tummy? According to Kashan Shmuel, Shmuel says that a guard is not considered working. So not considered a labor. So when it came to the paraduma, why is clothing tummy? Amar Rabbi Barula says, I have a simple teretz. He says, Gzir Shem Yasas Ba'iver. It's all rabbinic. It's clothing his tummy rabbinically because we don't want him to touch anything. We don't want him to move anything. So we consider him tummy. Okay. Simple answer. It's not. It's instead it went from biblical to rabbinic. Okay.
Here, so the assumption is that the people criteria what is the same for text.
Good. Which means that he's not working. Why is he tummy? Rabbinic. It's a rabbinic decree. See, Shmuel holds that a guard is not working. So why is a guard by the paraduma? Why is he clothing tummy? Says that okay, guard isn't working, just like Shmuel holds. By both, we're not making a difference. So why is this clothing tummy? It's rabbinic. Yeah. You say something different?
Oh. It says the assumption is 28.
Good.
It's like they match because
Good.
it's the same whether it's guarding or working.
Yeah, that's how the Gemara. This is good.
It's the same thing you're saying, just like a different words.
That's the question. You're looking at the question. I'm telling you the answer. The answer is that we thought that we were talking about a biblical level. The answer is that we're talking about a rabbinic level. Okay, Masiv Rav Kana. Rav Kana asks a question. So we get into what the Mishnah is talking about here. Someone is guarding some cucumber patches. Is that what it's called? Cucumbers, and it says that he should not eat. Each one belongs to a different owner. It says that he should not eat all from one of them because that's not fair. He eats the whole this guy's whole field, and he leaves everyone else's. He said, according to, you should eat 1/5 from this, 1/5 from this one. He's going to eat the whole thing. So they let him divide it up amongst them. Shouldn't take everything from one person. Now, question is, 1 second, what is his job? He's just a watchman. How's the watchman allowed to eat? Still attached to the ground. We said, according to Shmuel, attached to the ground, you're not allowed to eat. It was only the gitas and it was only the wine press. It's a kasha on Shmuel. This is a brisa. Shmuel's an amira. This is a kasha on Shmuel. Why is he allowed to eat? We're talking about that they're detached from the ground. Akurin. If they're detached from the ground, then you're not allowed to eat for another reason, because you have to take the tithe. You have to take the tithe. It says no. The flower that's growing at the end of it is still on. So it's not chayiv and meiser until that flower falls off. Ravashi says, it's logical to rule like Shmuel.
Can't the shomer always eat at the field without taking meiser right at the field?
Yeah.
So why is he asking about meiser right now?
About meiser. What do you say? You should be allowed to eat. Oh, so the answer is 1 second. We gave we made a distinction here. We asked this question before, which Reb Yanai and Reb Yochanan had a machlekes if until you bring it into the house, it's chayiv and meiser, until you bring it into the courtyard, it's chayiv and meiser. He said, but there are certain things that are chayiv and meiser beforehand, right? There's certain things that if it's definitive, that's only because, oh, you're right.
Yeah, that's when you're bringing it to the house. When somebody's at the actual field, even today, you could eat without trumas and meiser or anything when you're at the field itself.
Right. Right. Yeah. Give me 1 second. Let me see what we said over here. By grapes, it was when it was brought into the house or when it was in the field. We had certain things that would change. Oh, here it is. Ezu, there's a brisa that says like this. Ezu gairan on the maestros. There's certain things have a different back on Pechesam at base. Certain things have a different time when it's considered a finished product. It says bekishuim ubedeluim mishiyifkasu. Once the flour falls off. And the Gemara thinks mishiyifkasu afila basada. It says no, mishiyifkasu babayas. Yeah, the Gemara here isn't so clear when this happens, if it's in the house or there's two options over there. Five in Misa. There's certain things, yeah. Okay, that's a good point. What do we say now? Where are we holding? Ravashi says that it makes sense to follow Shmuel. The Tanan was started in the Mishnah. We go back to the first Mishnah of this parak, right? Not the first Mishnah of the parak. The second Mishnah, the Mishnah right after the Agadata. It says the following are allowed to eat according to the Torah. What does it say? Well, there it says, Hey Zion. It says someone that's doing work with something that's attached to the ground at the time that the food is ripe, right? That means he's picking it. The talash, he said if it's detached from the ground, that's as long as it's not the gemar malacha. That means it's not chayiv and meiser, right? We switched the translation of gemar malacha. Okay, and so far that we don't have any proof yet. Let's go further. Michlal, but this implies you see, it says these eat from the Torah, which sounds like there's another type of eating which is not min Torah, but that's just because of local custom. Let's go further. The following do not eat at all. 1 second, we already said in the Reisha that there were people that don't eat according to the Torah, but they eat Milchus Medina. Allah, rather, it must be that they don't eat at all. Now, Shmuel was the one that held that. My Neo, who's the one that holds that there's certain people that don't eat at all? That's those people that are working with the what's attached to the ground, but it's not ripe. And for sure, if they're guarding the orchards in the gardens, they're not allowed to eat. But that was Shmuel's opinion. Okay, it's interesting that the next Mishnah is really an introduction to the following parak. Starts on the next page. Abba Shemrim, it's for watchmen, very famous Mishnah. Yeah, we've been talking about Shemrim since the beginning of the Masechta, and it shows up on page 93. Yeah, there's a lot of Masechtas that are like this. They start off in middle, and then at a much later date in the Masechta, you realize that you could have written this a little different, and it would have been more, arranged. The Rambam arranges it more clear than the Gemara does, right? Like in Masechta Shabbos, it starts off with carrying in and out, and on page 73, you come to it tells you what the 49 malachas are, what the 39 malachas. So yeah. Okay, why didn't they arrange it like that? Maybe because it wasn't supposed to be written down, so to keep it still a little bit difficult. I don't know. There's 4 types of shemrim. Shemrim, a non-paid watchman. Vashayel is the borrower, 2 extremes. Naisi Sachar is a paid watchman. Vaseicher and the renter. Shemer Chinam, we go for the first one, the non-paid watchman, Nishbalakal. He could swear whatever happens and he's going to be exempt. What does he swear? He swears that he wasn't negligent. Ashayel Mishalim Esakal, the borrower has to pay for everything. Naisi Sachar, the renter, the paid watchman, Behaseicher and the renter. Nishboin ala Shvura vala Shvuya vala Mesa. They have to swear if it got injured, if it was taken captive, let's say an animal, vala Mason if it died. But they have to pay if it got stolen or lost or stolen. Okay, so they're like in the middle. Turns out there's 4 shaymerim but 3 halachas, because the renter is the same, like has the same halacha as the paid watchman. Mantan arba shaymerim. Who's the author that says that there's 4 shaymerim, 4 watchmen? Amar Rab Nachman, Amar Rabba Baravua. Rab Nachman says the name of his father-in-law, Rabba Baravua. Rab Meir, this is following the opinion of Rab Meir. Amalei Rabba or Rab Nachman. Rabba says to Rab Nachman, why are you even asking this? You have someone that says differently? Everyone says it's 4 shaymerim. Amalei hachi kaminalach. No, I meant something different. Mantana seicher k'neisiv sacher. Who holds that a renter has the same halacha as a paid watchman? That is Rab Meir. That's Rab Meir. That's what Rab Nachman says. The Gemara says, 1 second, but Rab Meir p'chishaminalach. We have a statement that goes different according to Rab Meir. The Tani was taught in a brayso. Seicher kates and mishalim. How does a renter pay? Rab Meir mikashem rechinam. Meir says he pays like a shemer chinam, not like a shemer sachin, like a non-paid watchman. Exactly the opposite. And Rabbi Yehuda makes shemer sachin. It's Rabbi Yehuda that says that he's considered a paid watchman. Well, that's a contradiction. The Gemara answers, Rabbi Baravua b'chaktani. Rabbi Baravua switched it around. He switched the names around in that brayso. Rabbi Meir holds a shemer sachin. Rabbi Yehuda holds a shemer chinam. Okay. That's the case. Arba shleishaninu. You're telling me there's 4. There's really only 3. Mari answers. There are 4 shaymerim which have 3 halachas. Okay. Ahuraya. There was a shepherd, Papa, that was taking his animals along the bank of the river Papa. One of them slipped. Usually the word for slipping is sharik. Sharik is like mishrak sharik. It's like slippery. Here it's sharig. I guess it's the same word. He slipped, and it fell in. One of them slipped, fell into the water, drowned. Asalakami the Rabba came in front of Rabba. Pachi Rabba said that the shaymer is exempt. Amar, he said, "My havalela mevad." He did everything he was supposed to do. Why should he be chai? You see, the responsibility is because he didn't guard it. Is the reason? The liability is because you didn't do your responsibility. If you did your responsibility, the best, then you don't have the liability. Just a second. Okay. What do you want from him? He guarded it the way people guard, which is the normal thing. So therefore, the fact that this one drowned, that's, you can't hold him liable for that. He did what was expected of him. Amalei Abaya, who was this? This was Rabba that was paskening. Now Abaya is always asking Rabba, his teacher, questions. Abaya says, Alamayata, if you do, you're making it look like if you behave like everyone else, then you're going to be exempt. Is that really so? Alamayata, according to you, Alamastan bin Nadaili Inshi, Achinami the butter. Let's say he goes into town when everyone else goes into town. In other words, if everyone takes breaks in the middle of work, and then something happens, you're going to say he's exempt because he's behaving like everyone else, just because everyone is doing it. So you're going to, sounds like a teacher to the student. The student saying everyone was shooting spitballs. They said if everyone would be whatever, you would do it also. Okay, I'm going to lay in. Rabbi says, yeah, he's going to be pater because he's behaving like everyone else. Gana porta beidna the gana inchi nachinami the pater. He takes a nap, a little nap when other people take a nap, probably right after lunch. They take a little nap. So you're going to say that he's potter if something happens then? He says, Amalei, and he says, yeah. Okay, so he asked him a question. Elu, hey, Noinsen. The following would be considered an unpreventable circumstance that a paid watchman would be exempt from. Going, for example, Vatipol, I'm not sure if I'm reading it right. Shiva Vatikochim Vesanarim Hakul Leficharim. That this Shiva, I guess, a group of people fell on them, they pounced on them, and they captured them, and the lads they killed by the sword. So here we're talking about what would be something you're exempt when an army invades. Okay, so that's already something that they're exempt from. What are you telling me? You're exempt by just going into town or something like that. You shouldn't be exempt. This looks like a very serious, unpreventable circumstance, which is like an invasion of an army. Amalei. So Rabbi responded, over there, you're talking about a city guard. Why is it called chazane? Why is it chazan? Sounds like a shamish. I'm not sure, but whatever the case is, we're talking about a city guard. He has a big responsibility, and so that's he would only be exempt if it's a huge invasion.
Town guards
Right. Town guards would be paid custodian, but for them, what would be considered unpreventable would be a much higher level than for most other people. I'm just asking on the word chazane. Usually a chazan is like a shamish or something. Eisvei, another question. What is his responsibility to guard? It says, until when does he have to guard? He says, Ad kadei, to the extent of, we quote what happened by Yaakov. By day I was in the heat, and by night I was in the frost. It means that there's a huge level of responsibility. That's also talking about people that have this extra level of responsibility because there's a city watchman. Amalei, 1 second, Abaya says to Yaakov Avinu, Chazan Masavi. Yaakov Avinu was a city watchman. He wasn't a city watchman, he was a regular shepherd. Amalei, I'm sorry, Amalei, Lalavan, rather what Yaakov said to Lavan was, he accepted on himself the responsibility to watch it like a city watchman, even though he was just a shepherd. Esvei, another question. Raya shepherd that was shepherding. He left his flock and he came into the city. Said, they'll be fine. So a wolf came, grabbed one of the sheep. A lion came and took one of them, ate one of them. So we don't say that if he would have been there, he would have been able to save it. We have to see if he would have been there, would he have been able to save it? We don't say automatically that just the fact that you left makes you chayav. Say 1 second. We look back, we say what type of what actually happened here. Could be a chayav, could be not. Depends on the person's strength, depends on what size wolf or lion. My love, da'al be'idna da'alianshi. We must be talking about where he came in at the time when everyone comes in, which means that he's not really negligent. It says loy. Da'al be'idna da'alianshi. He came at a time when people do not come in. So that means he snuck away, not during the breaks. He snuck away when he wasn't supposed to. And nevertheless, we're not going to make him chayav automatically. So you say, Yehachi, am I pater? So why should be exempt? It's chayav. We have a rule that if someone, well, it's actually a machlekes, but over here it's saying it like a statement. It says, if someone is negligent, but what happens is not because of his negligence. What happens is an unpreventable circumstance. But because he was negligent, right? If someone doesn't lock the safe, that's negligence. But what happens is there's an earthquake in it or something. So do we say, well, you were negligent, or maybe they stole the whole safe? Forget about if it's locked or not. They just took the whole thing. Or you say, well, that has nothing to do with him locking it or not. If they took the whole thing, then they could take the whole thing even if he locked it, right? So if it's not connected to his thing, to his negligence, should he be chayev or pater? So we're saying, according to one opinion, he's chayev. So why over here, if he goes out of if he's not watching, do we say that he's exempt? Says the Shama Kalarye Va'al. The reason why over here he's exempt is not because he left. I know he left at a time when he wasn't supposed to, but the reason why he left is because he was trying to protect himself. He heard the sound of a lion, so he ran away. If that's the case, I'm doing my same. I have Leila Mevad. What are you saying? You evaluate if he would have stayed, if he would have been able to. What do you mean? There was a lion there. Gemara says, he should have gathered all the other shepherds together, and they all take sticks. And then if you have the right numbers, everyone comes running at the lion. You can chase the lion away. There's a lot of people. I don't know. I never tried this. I guess you only get one shot.
Trying to get out of the fact that he's negligent. He could have organized.
Right. We're saying that he really is negligent because he could have organized something. Yeah.
Last week that we went over the part of like if someone like deviates a little bit, whatever consequences happen, like they would be responsible for it.
Yeah.
But here it seems like they take into account what actually happened.
Right. That's the Gemara's question. We're thinking if he deviates, okay, 1 second. Deviates, that was talking about his, when he rents an item, and he deviates from the arrangement of how he's supposed to use it, right? So then becomes like a ganav, and then becomes responsible for everything. That's what you're referring to.
Like if he would, he was only supposed to use it in this area, but he went a little bit further,
Right.
and then the car broke down.
Right.
It was gonna break down regardless.
Right.
It's just like he went out of the area, so he's responsible.
Right. We considered him over there like a ganav, like a thief, and a thief because he violated. But here, we're not. Here he's a shamer. He's not a thief. He's not a thief. He is responsible because he didn't guard it properly, or some sort of negligence.
Well, is this a Shomer soccer, someone who's getting paid?
I'm sorry.
Is this a Shomer soccer?
A shepherd would be a shemer sacher.
So doesn't the Mishnah say he's responsible ala kol?
Shemer sacher is chayiv on mishalman asaveda v'sagneva.
So in other words, he's not hired for an Ines and the lion would be an Ines.
Only for gneva v'aveda.
Okay.
So over here we're exempting him because he. The Gemara asks, why do you have to say that we're dealing with the shemer sacher? I feel the shemer chinam nami. It should be negligence if he doesn't. If the shemer chinam hears that there's a lion, he should run and get to all the other friends to chase him away. Gemara says the marhu damar because the Rabbah is the one that said shemer chinam sheyla kadam reimakal is like kidim is chayev. So why are you telling me this case only by a shemer sacher, by a shepherd? Same thing should apply even for a non-paid watchman. My answer is shemer chinam is bechinam. We're talking about shemer sacher is beschar. Talking about that you have to actually go pay the other shepherds to come and help you. What is that? Oh, that's vetch, really? Where'd you get it?
It's called the gandules. They grow all over.
And you found it over here?
No, I grow it.
Oh, you grow it?
Yes,
This is
common
vetch.
gandules.
Karshinim. Professor brought it in. We had it yesterday, or 2 days ago. Right? See that? It looks like a pea, like a pea pod. It's just brown.
That's a carob, right?
What is that?
A carob?
No, that's a karshinim. What was it called? Yeah, karshinim vetches. The picture is that over there.
Oh, pigeon pea.
Pigeon pea.
It is used only as animal feed in some countries. Caribbean, it's used as your basic legume.
Uh-huh.
And in In America, they just plow it over, fertilize the land. It's a cover crop.
Uh-huh.
No one.
It's used as a cover crop in America.
Fertilizer.
Okay. Vad kama, how much should a Shomer Sacher pay other shepherds to come and help him chase the lion away? Ad k'dei d'meim, till the value of the animals. One second. If the Shomer Sacher has to pay, that means that he's responsible for an unpreventable circumstance. And he's paying for it. Why should he have to pay? Says the Hadashakal Demami Balabayas. He's not paying for it. He's going to go back and get the money from the owner. He's just laying out the money, or he's promising. Amali Rav Papa Labaya. Rav Papa says to Abaya. Now we're going down one generation. It was Abaya talking to Rabbah. Now we're going down to Abaya's students. Rav Papa says to Abaya, Ihachi Maya Hanile. Mina, if the owner has to pay, if let's say it's worth the sheep are worth $500, so he goes and he gets these other shepherds to come, 5 other shepherds for $100 each. So basically pays $500 to chase away the lion. So we say, so what does the owner gain by him having to lay out $500 and he paying him back $500 if the sheep are only worth $500? So it says nafka mina, what he gains is l'koisha dechayasa. That would mean his familiarity with the animals, because to buy new animals, he's not as familiar with them. It's more difficult. Or possibly the problem would be just the bother of going to shop for new animals is a big problem. That's why he'd rather keep his animals, pay the same $500 rather than buying new animals, because he gained on that. Rav Chizda b'Rabba bar Rav Huna le'svir le'had Rabba. Rav Chizda and Rabba bar Rav Huna do not hold of what Rabba said. The Amri, because they say, that's why we're paying you, so that you should do a better watching. In other words, Rabba said that if a person watches it the way everyone else does it, and he walks him along the river, Rabba said that he would be pater, because that's what everyone does. And Rav Chizda and Rabba bar Rav Huna say no. They say, we wanted you to do a better job than everyone. That's why we're paying you. Bar'ada savula havikamaver chayusa agamla denarish. This is a Bar'ada Sabula is a porter. He was a how do you say it in Hebrew? Sabal. Does it say Sabal? Yeah, is that how you say a porter? Someone that moves the stuff off the docks, I think. Yeah. So he was taking animals, a gamla de Narish, along a bridge of the Narish River. Dachfa chada lechaverta. One of them pushed his friend, talking about animals here, b'shadisa b'maya, and it fell into the water, threw him into the water. Asal kam to Rav Papa. He come to in front of Rav Papa chayve. Papa said that he's chayiv. Amalei, he said to him, "My havali lemevad. What do you want from me? I wasn't the one that pushed the animal in. The one animal pushed the other animal in." Amalei, so Rav Papa responded, "You should have brought them one at a time, single file, into a single file, so they're going to fight over there. They're going to say, no, I want to go in front. I want to go in front. You should have to set it up properly." Okay. Amalei, Yadatabe Babarachtich, Matzilamavar Chada Chada. Do you have a nephew that does it, that is able to bring the animals one by one in single file? I don't know why he's using the word nephew. It's just, do you have anyone that that you know that does this? Amalei, Rav Papa says to him, that claim that you're telling me now that no one else does this, there's some people before you already had that claim, and we don't listen to that claim.
So you should have been able to.
You have to do that anyway. You have to take the extra responsibility to make sure that they don't get hurt. Evu afkid kitna beirunya.
That's a paid watchman.
Yeah.
If it was a paid watchman, he would be able to do all that across all the animals at once.
Could be. could be. That's what Taishvus is saying, and yeah, Hillel's bringing up that this is because it's a paid watchman. It could be if it would be a non-paid watchman, he wouldn't have such a high level of responsibility. Just give me 1 second.
Narrow bridge.
Sorry.
The narrow bridge that's narrow. That's Rav Nachman's song. The other thing is on the calculation of whether the herd was worth saving. If it's not worth saving, I mean, you hire people to the extent of the value of what they're protecting.
Right.
Otherwise, you figure let them take it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. When they design a car, they know that there's some problem with it. They figure, well, we'll have let's say $1 million worth of liability suits.
Thank you.
It's going to cost us 10 million to fix it. So let it go.
Right.
They do that calculation with the
Right.
sheep.
Right. No, they do it with advertising. I know they do these like false advertising. They and then they get sued, and then they say, well, it paid for the
Right, it was worth
it was worth it.
Oh, corporate America, the banks do that all the time. They scam people billions of dollars, and then they get a little slap in the hand, pay a little fine, then do it all over again.
Right. Okay. Evo afkid kitna beirunya.
I'm not sure. So then they shouldn't make that calculation. Torah saying it's okay to do the calculation of the sheep, the value of the
Well,
sheep.
the question was what the shamer was gaining, what the owner was gaining by the shamer paying the same value as what the sheep are worth, and then him going back to the owner and to collect it. So we say no, there is a benefit to that because he wants to have his
familiar
the
sheep,
familiar ones. He doesn't want to have to go buy another one. Yeah.
He
Okay.
doesn't say there's an ethical involved. It's just
This is the ethics of it, to save the owner. That
it's not just the monetary value of the sheep; it's all those other
right,
non-monetary
right.
considerations.
So the watchman has to go hire workers
Right.
just to save the owner the tircha of having to buy new sheep, even though the monetary value is the same.
Yeah, those are my favorite sheep,
Right.
and I'm used to them, and they know.
Okay, so Evo afkid kisna beirunya. Evo deposited flax by Runya. Ozil shavu shamtimine. Shavu apparently is a name of a thief, bandit, and the shavu came and stole him. L'seifu karganav, they found out who actually stole it. Also, the commander of Nachman come to Rav Nachman Chayve, and Rav Nachman said that Runya has to pay, and then he should go find the thief and get the money back from him. 1 second. This argues. This disagrees with what Rav Huna bar Ravin says. If something got stolen in a way of unpreventable circumstance, see this shavu, this thief was an armed robber. He wasn't just so that's really unpreventable circumstance. So if it's nignama bainas v'achkachu kaganav, then im shemer chinam who, if he's a shemer chinam, ratza nishba ratza isi meidin. If he wants, he could swear that it was he wasn't negligent, or if he wants, he could. He could go to the thief and get the money from the thief.
We had similar example before that he would just pay right now the owner one time and then he'll get back with the double.
Right. Right. Does a listed Mizraim pay double or only once? I don't know if it pays double. I don't know if I know a Ganav pays double. A thief that hides pays double. I don't know if a listed Mizraim pays double. We had that discussion before, and I kind of
The one that
a robber doesn't pay double. Only a thief pays double. I'm not sure if he's a thief. There was a discussion in the Gemara that he's a thief or because he's an armed robber. So he does it in public, but he still has a gun. So is he considered hiding, or is it considered?
because he didn't hide himself. The one that
Right.
hid himself.
He's the
is
one that
worse.
pays double, yeah. Who, if he's a paid watchman, then he has to pay and then get the money back. So it turns out that over here, what are we saying? We're saying that there's that Reb Nachman said he would be chayev. And according to Rav Huna bar Ravin, he would be pater because he's a shemer chinim. Amarava Hasam Gavri the Parmuska Havikaimi the Ramakala Havyasmatzilnei. There were police that were standing right there. All he had to do was scream, and that's why, even though he's an armed robber, but he could have shouted and protected it. So that's why he's going to be chayev. Yeah. Okay. A new Mishnah. Zev echad ina einas. Talking about the responsibility of a watchman. We say that if there was one wolf, that's not considered an einas. Yeah. It was a it wasn't a petting zoo. It was this thing somewhere in Miami somewhere. I don't remember exactly, but I went there one Cholamayit with some relatives. And they had a huge snake. All of us held it like this. Everyone was holding on to the snake. Remember, it's like the tail went into my pocket, tried to get my wallet. It was very interesting, this all. But then they also had like this cage where you could go in with the wolves. You could go into this place, wolves. And the wolves would just like walk around you. They were like dogs. They didn't bother you. They said wolves only eat sheep. They don't really eat people. So that was like their chiddush over there. And if you want to even test it out, you can go in. You only get one shot. But anyway, it was okay. We went in with the kids and yeah. They walk around you and this. My wife was nervous. One of the wolves kept stopping by one of the kids. It's like, you have to lift the kid up, So
Size of sheep.
yeah. So zev echad, one wolf, eina einas. It's not considered unpreventable. You can chase it away. Shnei zevim, that's going to be an einas already. Two wolves, that's a problem. Rabbi Yehuda says, Shas Mishlachas zevim, at a time when the wolves are coming in and they're how do they translate that? A plague. It's a plague of wolves. Then, if that's such a case, then they have like a different sort of tendency, and that could even be an einus. Shnei klavim ein einus. Two dogs is not a problem. It's not a unpreventable. Yadua habavli aimer mishum Reb Meir. This is a new name. We only have him once in Shas, I think. Yadua habavli. He says the name of Reb Meir, miruach achas ein einus. If it's coming from one side, two dogs is not an einus. However, if they're coming from two sides, then that's already an einus. Is he talking about the dogs or he's talking about the wolves? It looks like he's talking about the dogs. Halistim, which is a robber, harez einus. Does it mean a listim muzlian? An armed robber, or is it just say a regular robber? Bandit. That's an einus. Hari, the lion, a doiv is the bear, and namer is a leopard. Bardalas is some, I think we used to say a bobcat. I don't know exactly. But hanachash and the snake, hari, elu, einus, all of those are considered unpreventable. Emasai, when do we say this? Bisman shabo me'aleim. That's only if they came on their own. So you're going to be exempt if they happen to show up. But if you're the one that brought them there, right? If you say, okay, let's hang out in that part of town, then that's not an inus. Mesa Kedarka, if it dies naturally, then Hariza inus. That's considered unpreventable. Sigfa Mesa, if you starved it, you put it in the sun, you afflicted it, and then it died, that's ein inus. That's not considered unpreventable. That's you, it was mistreated. One second, what's Ramesh saying over here? I can't see.
Rambam and Hilchos Tanis yesterday was talking about the Zayd in 1 or 2.
You mean when you
Hilchos
fed?
Tanis. Yeah.
What's
When
considered
is it considered? Yeah. What is it considered?
Yeah, amazing. Also, L'Reish Tzukin, if you take it up to the cliff in Afla and it fell, actually, not that you took it up, also means it went up to the cliff and fell, then Hariza Oines, that's considered unpreventable. Hella L'Reish Tzukin Benafla, but if you took it up there, Umesa, and then it died, that's Ein Oines, that's not considered unpreventable. You shouldn't have taken it up there. But Tanya, 1 second, we have a brisa that says, Zev Echad, one wolf is an Oines. So what are you telling me that one wolf is not an Oines? Rabbi Nachman by Yitzchak, Nachman says that's following the view of Rabbi Yehuda, who says that if there's a plague of wolves, so then even one is going to be an inus. They have a different tendency; they're more brazen. Halistim inus, a bandit is considered unpreventable. Amai, why is that unpreventable? Look at Gavra de Gavra. It's one against one. Amarav, we're talking about where's an armed robber. So it's 1 against 1 plus a gun. So that's a different story. 1 against 1 is you could protect him, but not when the guy has a gun. Let's say both of them have guns. Do we say that it's unpreventable, or do we say that it's preventable? Do we say it's 1 against 1? Or do we say that no, this guy, the bandit, is ready to risk his life, and the shepherd doesn't want to risk his life? Do we say that because they both have guns, so that means that now it's equal, or do we say no? It says it's logical to say that that's not equal, and it's considered unpreventable, even if the watchman has a gun, but the robber behaves differently than the watchman.
Also catches them.
Could be. You see him coming over the hill. Not always.
Most of the time, like the watchman is not expecting for this armed bandit to come.
Amalei Abayel Rav, Abayel says to Rav, Ashkechei Raya. Let's say the shepherd finds the Ganav, and he tells him like this, Amalei, and he says to him, Ganva Saria, you disgusting thief, despicable. We're sitting in such and such a place. We have such and so many and so many people with us. We have so many dogs that are with us. We have slingshots with us. And then the bandit comes and steals from them. So do we say that that's negligent, that he was telling this to him, or he was trying to chase him away? They don't even attempt to come to us because we have so many and so many slingshots and so many people. You'll never make it. No, that's considered negligence, because that's like taking the person. That's like taking the animal to the area where the danger is. That's by telling him this. Okay.
As we were going through this list of animals that are listim, that are oines,
yeah,
I thought it was a little odd, and I got the Sanhedrin, and in Sanhedrin it lists not 4 but 5, and the 5th is a zev, the wolf.
Oh.
just interesting difference.
Maybe when the Gemara quoted that, well, Tanya, no, that's not from Sanhedrin. It's quoting it from Gemara earlier. The one wolf. We said that it was talking about when there's a plague of wolves. He said that was considered a ninus. Maybe that's what that Gemara is referring to.
Well, Sanhedrin lists these animals.
Attack is when they're more dangerous.
Yeah, but we're talking about one wolf that comes at a time when there's a plague of wolves. So then they have a different sense of, I'm sorry?
It's listing animals that you probably don't need permission of the Beis Din to kill. And
Oh,
it's a mitzvah to kill them.
uh-huh,
And it's the 4 listed on this daf plus a Zeb, a wolf.
right. Uh-huh. I hear what you're saying.
Whatever.
In the question, you're saying if one wolf isn't really dangerous, then why is it a mitzvah to kill it? Maybe because it could combine with others. Maybe together it's okay. If let's say someone says, "Can you please watch my bag?" If someone says, "Can you please watch my bag?" and the guy says, "Well," and I says, "Well, I'll be a shemer chinam, but I really don't want to take an oath. I don't mind watching it if I'll be pater no matter what, even without an oath." So he's allowed to do that. Bashayal, a borrower, can say Lias pater milashalim. He could be make a condition that he says, "I don't want to be exempt from paying, even if an accident happens." Right? Sometimes you have a book, something, and it says, "Here, I want you to read this." Whatever. So I can't take responsibility. I'm not traveling now. I can't. So don't worry. No responsibility. Okay, you have such an arrangement. So then that's fine. And the same thing could apply to a paid watchman or a renter that could be exempt from an oath and from paying, whichever the case is. If it's a something they're exempt on, if it's an accident, or paying if it's a Gneva Vaveda, you can arrange originally when you first take the item, you could say, "But I don't want to go under that category." Now the Gemara, the Mishnah throws in a statement which seems to contradict everything that we said, that whoever tries to make a condition against what it says in the Torah, the condition is nullified. We'll see in the Gemara why that's not a contradiction to what we just said. You see, the rules of making conditions have to follow the pattern that Moshe Rabbeinu made with the tribe of Gad and Reuven. When they went into the land, he told them that if you go into the land go into Israel ahead of everyone, then you'll be able to keep this land. If you don't go in ahead of everyone, then you won't be able. So in doing that, he said first the condition: if you go in, then you'll be able to. So, but if you do it the other way, you'll be able to keep this. If you go in, if you make the stipulation the other way, then that's not a good stipulation. You have to put the if first. You also have to be able to fulfill the Tanai. If it's a Tanai that's not able to be fulfilled, then it's not considered a Tanai. It's condition. Sorry? That one. That was a condition there. Okay. The Gemara asks over here, when we started off, we were saying that a watchman is allowed to make a condition. You're making a condition against what it says in the Torah. The Torah says that a paid watchman and there's an unpaid watchman. We have all the rules already clarified in the Torah. Now you're coming in and you're making a condition that you don't want to follow those rules. It should be nullified. Amani Rabbi Yehudi, this is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says any monetary condition, you can make an arrangement different than what it says in the Torah, and the condition is still in effect. The Tanya was started in a Brayser Milaisha. Someone tells to a woman, behold, you are married to me on condition that I don't have any responsibility of clothing food or marital relations. He's married, but there's no condition there because he can't make a condition against what it says in the Torah. That's Rameh. Rabbi Yehuda says no. It depends. The monetary things that you can make a condition, like this prenup, you make these conditions. But the marital relations, that's not a monetary thing. That you can't make a condition. 1 second. You want to say that our Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda? Let's go further. Anyone that makes a condition, if you read further in the Mishnah, it says anyone that makes a condition against what it says in the Torah, it's nullified, and that's the Rameir's view. The Gemara says Halei Kasha. No. Rabbi Yehuda, really, the Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda. The Sefer Davar Shein Shel, and the end of the Mishnah is talking about not a monetary issue, and that's why the stipulation is nullified. Okay. The Sefer says that any condition that starts off with the action, not with the if, not with the condition, then that's not a real condition. Man shametle dislei haisvara. Who's the one that holds this? Reb Meir. This is the opinion of Reb Meir. Tanya was started in the Brayso. Abba Chalafta ish kfar Chananya amar mishum Reb Meir. Abba Chalafta, from the village of Chananya, he says the name of Reb Meir. Tanai kaidam lamaisa harisa tanai. If you put the if you do this, then you'll get this. First, then that's a good condition. Maisa kaidam latanai. If you say you'll get this if you do that, then in it's not a good condition. So we see that the Mishnah is Reb Meir. And you told me before the Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda. Elakula Reb Meir, he rather the whole Mishnah is Reb Meir. But here it's different because even when he was accepting on himself to be the watchman, he was only accepting on himself a certain thing. So even according to Reb Meir, you still can adjust the laws of a watchman by originally only accepting certain things. Tana, it's done in the Brayso. Umasna shemer sachar liyos k'shayal. Shemer sachar can accept on himself that he's going to have a higher level of responsibility. Maybe the guy doesn't, I don't know, says this is very important to me. I want to watch it more carefully than just a paid watchman. Says, okay, I'll take full responsibility. So, B'mai, how does he get that responsibility? Bidvarim, what you want to say with words? He just says, okay, and then now he's going to be chayiv. We're talking about that he made a kinyan, probably lifted up a handkerchief or something. Rabbi Yochanan says if even if he didn't make a kinyan, could be saying that the fact that he's getting a benefit, that people think that he's a trusted person, that's why this person is giving him his item to watch. That benefit that he's getting is like a transaction that's giving him that higher level of responsibility. The fact that he's giving it to him. Just the transaction itself.
His reputation is.
Okay. Now we say the condition needs to be possible. You have to be able to meet the condition. Rav Tavla Marav. This Rav Tavla is not so common, but Rav is very common. He says, Zu Divri Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema. This is the words of Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema. This is also not so common. Yehuda ben Tema is famous to us because in the beginning of Shulchan Aruch. You know, it should be as light as a deer, swift as an eagle, and all of that. It's in Pirkei Avos, a quote from Pirkei Avos, but it's in the Shulchan Aruch. So, yeah. At least it's in the Kitzur, I think. Yeah.
Like a leopard, an eagle,
right. So, but he's not so common in the Gemara. But the sages say, the sages say that a person can make a condition that's impossible to fulfill, and the condition is in place, which means that it's not basically it's the whole thing is doesn't happen. See, according to Yehuda ben Tema, if the condition is not realistic, then you just ignore it. It's just a fake. According to Chacham, it's not a fake. Tanya was taught in a brisa. Hareza gitech. Like this. He says, Hareza gitech. This is your divorce. Amanasha tali l'rakia. On condition that you go to the heavens, you go to the sky. That's not so hard today. Amanasha terdel l'tahim. You go to the core of the earth. What's that? What was his name? James. What was it? Vern. Jules Verne. Go to the core. Amanasha tivli kanash shel meyama. You swallow a pole. That's 100 amas. Like the magicians. Really, it's like that telescope thing that like keep it in their mouth. Say, look, I'm putting it. The magicians, they do these tricks. They push this pole into their mouth.
It goes right down the
It's
throat.
really,
They
it's really like,
actually, the sword thing like this
Yeah.
one, no, they actually do sword.
Yeah.
I had a rigid endoscope, the pole's like this, when you put your hand in the like sniffing position, what it's called, it's a straight line. The guy literally dropped the whole thing straight down. It freaked me out. So they actually can.
wow. Okay.
You have to be in the right position.
Menashe Tabri is a Yamagadol Baraglacha that you walk over the Mediterranean Sea with your feet, with flippers. Niskayim Tanai, if he fulfills the condition, then there is a get. Lay Niskayim Tanai and a get. See that? The condition is valid. Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema because I get no, even if you don't fulfill the condition, still consider get. Klal Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema. Yehuda ben Tema gave a rule. It's just exaggerations, and it's going to be kosher even without fulfilling the condition. Rav Nachman says the name of Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema. Allah is like Yehuda ben Tema. Amar Rav Nachman by Yitzchak Maslis Nami Deika. It fits well with our Mishnah as well. Tani, our Mishnah says, "Kol she'efshalei l'kaim b'seif v'snam mitfilasei t'nai kayim." Anything that you're able to fulfill is t'nai kayim. But if you're not able to build, tonight batal shma mina. You see from our Mishnah. Yeah. Now the Tosfos asks over here that it's so clear that I don't even need Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak to say this. The Mishnah said it clear. Nachman says we can derive it from the Mishnah. The Mishnah says it clearly. Okay. Let's leave it over here. We're going with Yehuda ben Tema, who says that the condition is null and the get is considered a get. You ignore the condition.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, have a great day.